Tulio with Kate.
The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Marketing with Purpose series. This is a segment of the Bliss Business Podcast where we really look to explore what it takes for marketing leaders like Jamie today to create impact that goes really beyond the numbers. Now, I'm Mike Liwski, your host today. And in each episode, we sit down with marketing experts to explore really their leadership approach and the strategies that drive performance, but more importantly, that really start to resonate with their audience. And together, we'll dive into what's working, what hasn't worked, and really how purpose and empathy can transform the way that brands connect with people. All right, so let's jump in. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Jamie Eslinger. She's the Chief Marketing Officer of Shoot 360. If you didn't, by chance, catch their CEO and founder, Craig Moody, you can watch that series or that episode as well. But Shoot 360 is an amazing franchise and an incredible brand that Jamie firsthand is helping to continue to develop. Now, she was named an Entrepreneur Top 50 Franchise CMO Game Changer. She brings with her more than 20 years of experience driving brand growth and innovation and audience engagement across startups, international, retail, franchising, and globally recognized brands. And at Shoot 360, she leads marketing with a strong focus really around digital lead generation, customer acquisition, and local marketing engagement, really building strategies that empower both brands and franchisees to succeed. Now, known for blending strategic rigor with creative flair, Jamie has led award-winning campaigns and transformative initiatives that consistently increase brand awareness and customer connection, which are imperative, right, if a brand is going to be successful. And we're going to explore today bringing purpose and empathy into marketing. And I'm so excited to really dive in on how her leadership, her creativity, and even heart come together to build brands that truly resonate. So with that, Jamie, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Mike. What an intro. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm following Craig in his footsteps. He was here a little bit ago. I'm just thrilled that you asked me to be on the show.
And we're thrilled that you said yes. And I mean, we absolutely had to, because Craig had so many wonderful things to say about you and the work that you're doing with Shoot 360. So, Jamie, just want to kind of dive in here. I'd love to hear, why, bringing purpose and empathy into marketing. Why was that topic so important for us to explore today?
Yeah, I really believe that marketing is about telling great stories, right? Mm-hmm. And in order to tell a great story, you have to connect with a purpose or a mission or a connection in some way. So that's what really drew me into that topic. And everything I'm doing at Shoot 360 is really to tell better stories and make a connection with, we've got the world's best tech platform. Basketball is a love language spoken around the world. But at the end of the day, when I first started this job, I think I started 7 months ago. So I haven't been here that long. But what I kept hearing over and over again is that we were the world's best kept secret in basketball. And I was like, okay, then that's my job to not be that anymore. We're not going to be a secret anymore. We're going to tell better stories, and we're going to shout it loud with purpose so that people really connect with this brand and our mission.
Yeah, maybe it might be good to perhaps share an example. I know you've just been there a short time, but how our purpose, or how are you thinking about purpose and empathy shaping the approach, the marketing approach that you might take there? Maybe there's a personal story that you might have.
Yeah. So, when I first started, I put together our brand house. Like, okay, let's look at our brand. Let's build the brand house. Let's really figure out what our, big mission is, our big why, and how we support that. And both on a, very logical level, but then an emotional level. And what are our proof points? And as I started looking through that, I was like, okay, we've got all the mechanics. Like we've got the most locations around the world. We've got the best tech. We've got NBA and WNBA investors. We've got 30 plus patents. Like we've got the mechanics of it and the logical points of it are solid. Like we are better than everybody else. Now let's make some amazing stories and let's tell really passionate, emotional stories about why this is. So from the brand house, I then created our brand manifesto.
Yeah.
The brand manifesto is titled Everyone Gets a Shot.
Perfect.
Because at the end of the day, what is our big why? Like, what are we trying to do? We're trying to grow the game of basketball, but we're truly trying to give every person a shot. And one of my favorite lines from the manifesto is, everyone gets a shot. And when you take a shot, it builds confidence, right?
Yeah.
And the more shots you take, the more confidence it builds. So
for sure,
not only are we selling basketball and how to get better faster with our technology, we're also selling personal development and dreams and being able to take your shot, whatever that is in life. Take your shot. Just, go after it.
Yeah. Bring out the basketball player in everyone.
Bring out the basketball player in everyone. And, I think we can all identify that. Anybody who's been an athlete and has worked really hard at something and, learned how to win and how to lose and how to recover and how to do that again. And like the love of the game, right? Like, how do we bring the love of the game back into the conversation of our brand? Right.
Yeah. And with your technology too, helping everyone to be more successful in what they do and then enjoying it more. Right. And that just builds and builds on itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jay, I wanted to transition to perhaps another, topic related to marketing, right? As marketing leaders and with your experience, I'm sure you've run into times of crisis or high pressure situations with brands. Obviously, the stakes are high. Mm-hmm. And it really seems like sometimes a marketing leader is pressured into when there's a brand crisis or maybe some kind of a market downturn, maintaining that sense of purpose and keeping empathy while still really have to, make some quick strategic decisions. So I'm kind of curious, like, how have you been able to perhaps balance or maintain that sense of purpose in those times?
It's a good question. And look, we all run into crisis moments.
For sure.
I think, all of us who were in business and in marketing through COVID, that was a generational crisis. Like we had never seen it before. We were all trying to figure it out. Yeah. I think we all learned we could do hard things and we could move through it one day at a time, not knowing what we were walking into the next day. And I think what I learned during that, moment in time is truly we're human. We just have to be human, even though we're maybe making really hard decisions for our businesses and our brands. At the end of the day, we're all people and our brands are run by people, teams of people. And if we can keep the humanness in the forefront of those really hard decisions, we're going to make better decisions and we're going to have a better process and a better flow for whatever does need to happen. Mm-hmm. And from the brand perspective, we're going to build, even in hard times, you can build trust if you keep the human element in the foreground. Yeah. Because everybody can understand having to make a tough decision. But if you make it in a cold, calculating way versus a more human, understanding way, you can bring people along with you rather than creating a divide.
Yeah, absolutely. Spoken like a real expert for sure, right? Starting with that human element first. Yeah.
I will tell a quick story. I do remember
go for it.
Being a young brand manager, and I was working on the Baskin-Robbins brand, and I was in charge of our PR and promotions.
Yeah.
And we had some elements of the machinery break. And so there were there were metal bits in some production lines of the ice cream.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so what do you do? What do you do in this situation? That was my first moment of being presented with, we have to make a public statement. Like, how do we move through this? And I had a really great boss, and we just sat down and we put our heads together. And he's really the one that taught me, we're taking care of humans here, right? So we have to do the right thing for everybody. We have to do the right thing for our franchisees. We have to do the right thing for our customers. We have to do the right thing for our vendor. Like, we have to take care of all the people who this will touch, and we have to do the right thing. Yeah. And that was a really good learning moment for me in my career. And you take those learning moments, right? And you apply that. I haven't worked in ice cream in a very long time, but you take those learning moments, right? Yep. And you apply them to different situations, and you can, because you've been through it before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those principles are applicable in all sorts of, right. They're timeless, right? If a brand is about, for sure. Right. If a brand is about health, or if a brand is about enjoyment, you cannot, not deliver that kind of joy. And so, and you see the brands that have done it successfully and thrived, and then the ones that, perhaps have not handled things like that the right way. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we talk about passion and purpose. It's also about building trust, right? Like, you have to build trust.
At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. Yeah. So maybe let's dig a little bit into having to bridge a challenge, that all of us as marketing leaders face. And that's staying, with the strategy of the brand, but then also delivering growth, right? Because as CMOs, you're often pulled between, hey, we need some near-term campaign results, but we also need to stay true to ourselves and build, this brand long-term. So I'm curious, like, how have you ensured that the marketing strategy stays aligned with, hey, we have this company goal this quarter of doing, X, Y, or Z. How are you able to, make sure that they stay aligned and the brand doesn't go off track?
Yeah, so, that's a great question, right? Because there's always going to be pressure. Like, we have our plan, and then you usually have to pivot during, and reassess. And so I think every marketer is challenged with, how is performance going and how do we get to goal? Yeah. So number one, it's obviously setting good plans and really understanding your business, from the beginning. And that is a partnership with operations. So I always say the magic happens when marketing and operations work together and really, support each other in what needs to happen to hit the brand plan. And I am at Shoot 360. I'm very lucky to have an amazing operations partner. His name is Jason. We came in at the same time, and we both are very clear, like, in order for us to be successful, we have to work together. So when marketing and operations can be aligned, that number one, that's where the magic happens. Yeah. Because then when you need to pivot and adjust, you've got both sides of the business working together to make that happen, and not just a marketing campaign trying to lift the business. Yeah. Because it takes both sides.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned, the partnership internally, right? Because you have to have your team be on the same page. We tell our clients, hey, the brand sandbox, can be big. Let's make sure that we're playing within it. And then we also, make sure that, we always, we don't start with the specific transactional goal or like the numbers or the profit, but really starting with, what are we trying to achieve, at the end of the day. Yes, we do want to build it right, but we get the idea that we do have to build it now, right? Things need to definitely start moving, but let's not start with just that. So
yeah. Now, and I think then you break it down into what's really doable. Like, what can we manage, and where can we see some quick wins or some progress? Because the whole team is going to be more excited if you get a win than if you tried to bite off something really huge and it's a failure, but nobody found success in it.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Hey, and we're, we don't know everything, right? As marketing leaders, but we want to be able to test, things out and, hey, be humble and modest. If something doesn't work, hey, then we trash that and then we try something new. But really listening to the data is so important.
Yeah. And I always say the consumer votes with their wallet every single day. The consumer votes with their wallet. So they send us signals, right? And that's how we can listen better and understand if we're going down the right path or if we need to A/B test something else and change or pivot a little bit.
In fact, maybe let's dive into that, because we do like to talk about on the show about customer insights sometimes drive strategy. So I'm curious if maybe you could share either with Shoot 360, maybe not, or maybe with some of your other past companies, share a time really when customer feedback or some sort of behavioral data shifted the direction of a campaign or helped to create a campaign. What it kind of taught you between like the intuition and then even the analytics that you get from customer feedback.
Yeah, this is a great question. And focus groups can only tell you so much, right? Before you do a product launch or before you put something out into like the real world and get real feedback. And I actually have a great example from Shoot 360. So I started last summer, and in the fall, we had a big launch of a new product we call Leagues. And it's very cool. I don't know if Craig talked about this at all, but it's a whole new gameplay. So it's 3 people on the court who shoot, and you get like thousands and thousands of points because there's money balls that are thrown at you, and there you get streak multipliers. It's like playing a video game, but you're shooting. So it's highly engaging. It's very fun, high scoring. It's all the best parts of basketball, which is like the shooting, not the running or the defense, right? Like,
exactly.
It's the fun parts. And, we're really excited about it because it can bring all ages onto the court. We can get people off the couch, fans, people that maybe used to play, love to play, but, can't run a full court anymore or can't, find, court time, get them back. So it's a great product. We did all the product testing, all the consumer testing, really great feedback. When we launched the league, so we did a league with Ball is Life last fall.
Yeah.
And it was a great league. But what we learned from talking to the consumer, so we did a national lead form, and then we followed up and did customer calls with every single lead to get them, to help get them signed up for the league. And what we heard from the customer over and over again is they just wanted to come in and play it as one person solo. They didn't want to put a team together with 2 other people.
Right.
And it was such an insight. It was like, wow, people want to come in and play this by themselves. And the aha moment for me was taking that customer feedback of like, how can I just come in and play by myself? I don't want to put a team together. Or I don't know if I have 2 other people that I can play and play, but I really want to play. How do I take this customer feedback and apply it to what we're building? And the aha, it's funny because we were talking about pickleball a little bit before. The aha for me was like, oh yeah, I learned how to play pickleball first.
Right.
And then I found a group of people that loved to play. And then I joined a league.
Right.
Because it was a new game. Right. And even though our league product is a form of basketball, it's the shooting part of basketball, it is a new game. It's like our pickleball version of tennis, right?
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we've been spending the last couple of months reformatting the game. So we're going to launch it. We just did at All-Star Weekend, we just did a demo of it. We had Craig Hodges there. He did a demo with the top scoring high school team from the league last fall. They all loved it. You can play solo now. We will have a trios version where you can play in groups of 3.
Right.
We're incorporating and we're calling it 3 ball. So we renamed it because we also realized like people want to call it something. They want to call the game something.
Yes.
So now we have a 3 ball game. You play 3 ball solo or 3 ball trios, and you can play in a league. We also have the league, right? So it's like, of course, this is exactly what it should have been, but we needed to launch it, and we needed that consumer feedback in order to, pivot a little bit.
Yeah. What an excellent example. You had a great idea there, but you refined it there after time. And you're absolutely true, right? Because then they get better at their particular individual skills. And then, from there, they can go through that progress. It's almost like we love to talk about with our clients, the customer journey. In that case, you're seeing, firsthand the journey that they're going through. And then hopefully, they become lifetime advocates for your brand. And I do have to say, one thing we didn't mention in Jamie's intro is that when she talks about basketball, she really does know what she's talking about, being a former collegiate basketball player. So for those listening, she knows her stuff.
Yeah, I used to always say that basketball was my first love. I fell in love with a basketball before falling in love with anything else.
Hey, and it's so true, right? Because what do you normally do? If you have a basketball hoop in your backyard, you start playing by yourself before really you start playing.
That's right. You do.
Yeah.
And when you're a girl who's 6 feet tall in the 4th grade, you end up learning to love a basketball.
It very, 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 very true. One of the things I think as well, Jamie, that we run into as marketing leaders is alignment with product or operations and even sales, right? Because it sometimes seems like everyone's got individual departmental goals. And so when you're launching, say, a new product or even entering a new market, what have you found to be effective to help get that alignment around, say, sales, ops, product, even the delivery team? The customer success team.
So with product launches, I've done huge worldwide product launches with Baskin-Robbins, like Dunkin', or we're talking global launches, right?
Sure.
I've done teeny tiny startup launches with, little franchised startup companies. And I've done everything in between. And let me tell you, it's communication. It always comes down to communication. Whether it's at a global scale or a one, mom and pop shop operator, it's communication, because you can have all the right project management things in place. You can have all the right charts, all the right data, all the right people representing every single department. You can have the best launch plan. You can have the best execution, but it will always fall down if the communication isn't really strong between all of those people and the whole process.
Yeah, without a doubt. I would, I say too, in so many aspects of life that communication would solve so many of life's problems.
It really would. And I think, in the business world, sometimes the best communication is being able to say, I don't know. We'll get back to you. I think sometimes departments want to have the answer. And when you're building something new, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's like, this is all we know. And building the safety inside teams to be able to say what they don't know, right? Or what they maybe there is bad news, but being able to building a safe place where you can communicate bad news. I think that's also the magic of good communication. It's not just like giving the plan or like where you are, whether you're on track, but being able to say, look, this is really off track and we don't know why. And we need to get together, whether it's like a focus team to figure it out, but being able to call out like something isn't working and we don't know why.
Right. And great point too, as well, that it comes down to this human element of being comfortable enough. And I know this is probably more so for the Bliss Business Podcast, but having that culture or that environment where team members or even employees feel comfortable to be able to say that, right? And to communicate.
That's right. And being a leader, being able to say, I'm sorry, I may have missed something. Like having the confidence to say in front of your team, I don't have all the answers. I may have taken us down the wrong road, but I've realized it. So now let's adjust. And that can go a long way for team members to feel safe and comfortable telling you what they're seeing too.
Absolutely. Right. And I think, going back to listening to what the data is telling you, being humble enough to, hey, I was wrong, this didn't work out. But very true, right? Communication is so key in all those aspects. Maybe transitioning, Jamie, to a topic, that, we talk about every time on this show, and that even as marketing leaders we run into, and that's having marketing really be a revenue engine, because it can't just be, the soft, fluffy, stuff. At the end of the day, we're helping to grow and run a business. And so and with our clients, we we do a lot of performance marketing. So we've got, things like we're driving obviously certain activities. We're looking at the data coming through the CRM. We're measuring very clearly what's working, what's not. And so I'm curious, in your experience, like what's worked best to really help turn marketing into a revenue driver? And where do you even see gaps sometimes, when it comes to different marketing campaigns and turning it into a revenue engine?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And in franchising in particular, I think it comes to, like, franchisees figure it out, because they're in the business every single day. And yes. I'm the daughter of a franchisee. So I grew up in a franchise house. Okay. And I remember hearing my dad say things and complain, right, about the franchisor, and they don't get it, right? Because they're not in it. Yes. And I remember when I first took my job at Baskin-Robbins, my very first franchise job, and I was going through the training, that's when the light bulb clicked and it went off, and I was like, oh, this is franchising. I work for the franchisor. And then I realized, oh, I'm the dumbass at corporate. This is exactly what my dad was talking about when I was growing up. Pardon my French, but literally what I heard in our household growing up. And so the important point there is franchisees are seeing where the revenue comes in every day, right? They're trying to figure it out every day. So in a franchise brand, it's really important to listen and understand what's working and what's not working, and where can we do better for you. So a couple examples of that, when I was at Baskin-Robbins, we had a franchisee who basically completely invented like our ice cream cake line. Like he just came up with incredible ice cream designs, and he was almost creating a whole revenue driver, right? Right. And it's our job as a franchisor to say, that's an opportunity for everybody. Right? Yes. Not shut him down.
And it's always squash it. Like we don't do cakes. We only do cones.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is an opportunity. And so even at Shoot 360, I've spent my first couple of months just really digging into the business and trying to figure out what's happening out there. And what I started seeing and learning is that we have many more categories of business than what we were promoting from a brand central point of view. So one of the major projects I have my team working on now is creating all the campaigns and the assets needed to help support every category of business that we truly can set up our franchisees to run. So we certainly have memberships, but beyond that, we have our personal coaching, we have parties and events, court rentals, team rentals, right? I even think we have a huge opportunity to do bachelor parties, right? Because we have franchisees doing it, right? Right. So this is where marketing has to stay really close to the heartbeat of the business and where the revenue is coming from. Understand if that's an opportunity that the whole brand can benefit from. Some of the things the whole brand can't benefit from, right? Like there are things that will happen from a revenue perspective where you're like, nope, this is not a brand. This is not where we need to play. Right. But that's where you learn and say, okay, how do we take this, package it? Because franchising should be a business in a box, right? So how do I take this and package it and create a box that every franchisee can unwrap at a local level?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then like, what do we add to the box as things come along and change? For sure.
And keep improving that box as we go. There'll be little innovations along the way. And if we continue to listen and seek to understand and find out, that's where marketing is creative business solving every single day. So how do we see the trends and then understand how it can, drive the business?
Yeah. And, my thought just quickly on your point about the bachelor party is it may not be like a core, recurring revenue. Obviously they're not, right? Hopefully people are only, getting married once, but it could be a really good way to introduce the experience or the brand to more people. So it could be one of those things in the customer journey that happens earlier on in the interest or consideration phase, right? Like I would have probably never gone into a bowling alley or an axe throwing place if I wasn't drawn there by my friend group, right?
Exactly.
It's not something
You were
I'm gonna
invited in by
Right.
either a super user or a brand
Yeah.
fan.
And then who knows, like, or just like pickleball, right? Like I would have maybe never played pickleball, but then you get the experience some way, you're introduced to it, and then you enter the funnel that way, and then it continues on from there. So it could be an activity very early on in
exactly. And we're really looking at, like, we've built a platform. Shoot 360 is a platform.
Yeah.
And there's different ways during your customer life cycle to experience the platform. So you could be, just picking up a basketball, learning how to dribble, and we've got a way for you to fall in love with the game. You could be, retired, and you just want to have an easy, low impact way to work out and feel like great every day. We've got a way for you to come in and do that too. And then we've got the whole competition piece of this as well, where in our leagues product, you can really compete with 3-ball, and it's a workout and it's a competition. And what's cool about our platform is you're competing with people, like, not just one bay over from you, but every location in our network. You're competing globally.
Yeah. Getting that exposure. So Jane, we're getting close here to the end of our show. We haven't really talked about our teams very much, and really building a high performing team. I'm just sort of curious, in terms of like your approach or things that you learned from your experiences or other mentors when developing the marketing talent, so that they're not only hitting performance goals, but that they stay engaged and that they stay inspired. Where do you see sometimes maybe even other leaders struggle with helping to get their teams to that point, or what are some of the things that you do to help them stay engaged and inspired?
Yeah, it's a great question. I spend a lot of time developing my teams. I believe in, mentoring and developing people to be their best. And sometimes that means their best is somewhere else, right? Like helping them get to their best place is sometimes not staying in the same place.
Sure.
But I also truly believe in this concept called zone of genius. Okay. And it's a book written by Gay Hendricks. He talks about this. And just like in a nutshell, the whole idea is you can operate in your zone of competence, which is you can do it and maybe you're really good at it. But it's just where you're competent. If I can unleash your genius and what only you can do, and it's your superpower, if I can unleash that inside the brand, then that's going to move everything forward faster. And you're going to be more challenged, and you're going to love your job, and you're going to see the results of what only you bring to the table. So I talk about it with my team all the time. Like, we need to operate from our zone of genius. And I try to give them projects that fit inside their zone of genius, so that they know that only they can do their special brand of magic on that project that aligns with the brand goals that moves us forward. And look, we all have to do things we don't love to do. So it's not about, everything has to be inside your zone of genius. But if you can talk to your employees in that way, so that first they feel seen and recognized, and they know that their talent is being nurtured, and they know that you're really working with them so that you get the best out of them, but they get to give their best. Yeah. People love to give their best. And especially, in a sports brand, like, people are competitive. They want to win. And if you can build both a culture where they know they're being seen, and they know the game plan, and they know that they're playing their role in the only way they can, that's the win.
It's perfect with basketball, right? Not everyone can do the shooting, or not everyone is going to be, you got to rebound, you got to play defense, you got to, play for, set screens, do all those other things. And maybe that's, your core competency and what you're good at. But what I love so much about that is you really have to get to know them at an individual level, right? To pull that out of somebody.
Yeah, and that's going beyond a job description, right? Like, really watching them and communicating with them and understanding, what their little brand of magic is that they can bring to the team, and then celebrating that too. I think it's really important to celebrate our people. One of the mantras we put for the whole company this year for 2026 is win the day. Our mantra for 2026 for our internal team is win the day. And how we do that is we are very clear about our goals and the winning projects we have to get done. And then we celebrate the people who won the day. So it's a way of having a common vernacular to be able to inspire people, but keep projects on track too. And then everybody knows what the big goal is and what their part in that is too.
Yeah. I know if our other producer Tulio is in the background, he's probably like doing cartwheels right now, because I wish we could give a behind the scenes look at companies that operate like yours. At Zero Company, it sounds like we operate very similar. We've got OKRs, and at the same time we have champions that are moving those forward. And every week, if not every day, we hear our team members celebrate what somebody did in relation to one of those key projects. So sounds like you have absolutely. And so I know it's something that Tulio champions great, and I'm sure he would love to learn a little bit more about how you do that at Shoot 360, because that's, I think, transformational for brands and for organizations that operate like that. So Jamie, we're before we wrap up, for those that see this show and want to learn a little bit more about your approach or learn a little bit more about Shoot 360, where should they go?
So you can go right to shoot360.com. That's our global website. You can, learn more about the brand. You can follow us on social. We do a lot on LinkedIn. You can follow us on LinkedIn too. And you can reach out to me personally if you have a question. It's jamie.eslinger@shoot360.com. Awesome.
And you would be quite impressed at some of the professionals that have worked with Shoot 360. So definitely hit them up. It's an impressive lineup. So Jamie, thank you so much for joining us on the Marketing with Purpose series today. I hope that really for our audience, today's conversation has sparked some new ideas for how you can align strategy and execution and purpose in your work. And if you found value in this discussion that we've had today, please like it, subscribe, and really share it with someone else so that we can keep this conversation going. And remember, as we love to say, great marketing doesn't just sell, it serves. And so we'll see you next time on the Marketing with Purpose podcast.